So we are done with the number one biosecurity measure, which is sanitation. We are moving to the second one now, and the second one is restriction. Very important. This is equally as important as sanitation. In fact, if every single being, and when I say single being, it includes animals, birds, humans, and every foreign body that is not the flock, because they are potential carriers of pathogens. If we can restrict them from accessing our facilities and flocks, we won't be having issues with germs and pathogens. But unfortunately, some personnel are important for the operation of the farm and for business purposes. But unnecessary access to the farm must be restricted. Only essential personnel and visitors should be allowed into the farm. And they also must adhere strictly to the biosecurity program for entering the facility. Also, moving from one pen to the other, even within the same farm, must be avoided. If you are working in pen A, you have no business in pen B. Only the farm manager or supervisor is allowed due to the kind of work they need to do across the pens, and they know exactly how to go about it. You also must restrict staff from your neighboring farms and other farms. It's very important. This is not something to play about. You're talking of your investments here. You must be strict. In case it's not your investment, be considerate and kind to the investor. Don't say because someone is your friend or your VIP customer or family member, you will close your eyes to this and allow them to do whatever they want to do around your farm. You must place very strong boundaries. You must also do all it takes to keep away rodents, wild birds, and other animals. Don't allow locally raised birds into your flock, into your farm. Remember that extensively raised birds are not as vulnerable as the intensively raised ones. So they may be carrying pathogens on their body, but it will not affect them. And I don't want to go into that to talk about that, because that is not what I'm talking about now. So we must not allow, we must restrict, we must control the traffic of external bodies into our facility, especially the pens. This will help to reduce the risk of disease transmission. The next we'll be talking about is isolation and quarantine. It is cheaper and easier to treat one or few birds than the whole flock. So when you notice a sick bird, isolate it. Because by the time you leave the sick bird there, it will start transmitting that disease to the rest of the flock. And it will not be easy for you to monitor its recovery. But by the time you isolate it, you give it more attention and you prevent the spread of that very disease condition. Also, when you bring in new stock to the farm, Do not add it immediately to your flock. Every farm should have a quarantine section where new stock are kept for a period of time before introducing to the flock. Some diseases have incubation period. A flock may be infected but still be looking healthy at the point of purchase. It is also important to get the stock from a trusted venture. Get your stock from trusted ventures. And even when you get them from trusted ventures, it's still advisable to quarantine them for a period of time. Quarantine is a necessary precaution for new stock. And while you isolate them, observe and run some tests. Don't just keep them there. Be observing them. And if possible, take their blood sample to the lab. Also, create what we call biosecurity zones in your farm. This may include areas for sick birds, younger birds, older birds, new arrivals, etc. If you cannot create all, ensure to create a sick bay and quarantine zone. And make sure it is a distance away from the flock, from the main flock. Number 4, we have vaccination. Vaccination is the way you prevent your flock from being defeated by a pathogen by pre-exposing them to their look-alike. I don't know how to explain this best, but this is the best way possible for me. I'm not a veterinarian, but this is the best way I can pass this to you. So when you pre-expose them to their look-alike, it triggers their immune system so that when they eventually encounter the real pathogen, they are able to defeat them. So it is advisable to vaccinate your birds against common pathogens your flock is vulnerable to, especially viruses. Vaccinate your birds against viruses. So that's it about the components of biosecurity that tackles just pests and disease. Now, looking at the structural biosecurity measures, we have farm orientation. You are not to establish your farm in an area that poses a risk of flood or fire outbreak. As much as you can, protect your farm from natural disasters. Also, in your pen orientation, pens should be oriented in an east-west direction of the suitable location. After you have found a suitable location that is not posed to risk of flood and other natural disasters, then ensure to establish your pen east-west direction. I'm not going deep into that now. The video is already getting too long. Also, your house design, that is the design and structure, should be done in a way that make room for cross ventilation. Drainage should be provided and regular house and equipment maintenance should be taken into consideration. Lastly, and very important, ensure to regularly and intentionally train. This is very important. Train and educate your staff about the practice and essentiality of biosecurity, and consistently monitor to ensure awareness and implementation. This is very important. Thank you all. I hope you got value, and if you do well to like, comment, and subscribe if you are yet to. See you again in our next video. Please, if there is anything you want us to talk about, you can indicate in the comment section. Bye.